It's Levack and Goss on 104.5 The Team.
It is the inauguration of the president. So here he is, the president, Jeff Idelson. How are you, sir?
That's not the same one.
No? Not the same?
I'm doing. No, it's me. I'm here. What's up? How are you, gentlemen?
How's it feel to be labeled president and nobody's arguing about you?
I guess I don't. I don't know. I guess I don't have any baggage right now.
Yeah, right. It's a good time to be you. Now we are going to, of course, wander into the steroid era in a second, just because we can't go all sunshine and rainbows on you, President.
That's cool.
President
you
National.
guys doing okay?
Oh, we're doing great.
Okay?
We're doing great, man.
We're doing great. I love this year's class. So first things first, President of National Baseball Hall of Fame, Jeff Idelson. Tell us about why you're so excited about the class of 2017.
Well, this is a class that has some of which is weighted, some is new to the table, but unequivocally, it's a class that speaks of run producing, getting on base, scoring runs, and you have three guys whose numbers merit great consideration and therefore now have a place in Cooperstown.
And let's not forget the Hall of Fame weekend, July 28th to the 31st. The annual induction ceremony is going to take place on that Sunday at 1:30. Admission to the ceremony is free this summer in Cooperstown. Tim Raines, a former New York Yankee, is going to be going in, but Yankee fans also look at this year's ballot and see Jorge Posada gets below that 5%, so he's no longer going to be on balance going forward. How is that developed as a rule that less than 5% eliminates players from the ballot?
Well, we're okay with it because, and I love Jorge Posada, and there's a lot of guys. Carlos Delgado, I'll never understood how he fell off after one attempt, but it underscores how difficult it is to get in. It's set up that I think that if 95, 96, 97% of your membership doesn't think you're a Hall of Famer in 1 year, it's going to be pretty hard to get in eventually. But the great thing about the veterans committees or the era committees that we have in place is guys like Jorge Posada, 10, 15 years from now, if it's like, geez, we made a mistake, there's the opportunity to reward him then.
President of the National Baseball Hall of Fame, Jeff Idelson, with us right now on 104.5 The Team. The ballots are always interesting to me, and this year the big discussion about the ballots is guys like Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens getting some traction, getting up into the mid-50s in their votes. What is your take on those guys?
Well, I mean, my take is that we've had a couple of shifts in the voting membership over the last couple of years. Number one, we eliminated guys that had no longer been covering the game for a long time, and made sure that those being looked at were done so by those who were covering the game today. We also shrunk the number of years you can be on a ballot from 10 to 5, so that changed a couple of the parameters. But mostly, we wanted to make sure in thinning the membership that we had a voting group that was representative of today's games and that are covering the game today. And for all the guys on the ballot, a bunch of them went up in percentage. I mean, Tim Raines made two huge leaps to get to where he is today. And for guys like Bonds and Clemens, the jury is out on whether those guys will ever earn election. But at least we know they're being done so with a voting group that's their contemporaries.
Is there going to be any other adjustments to the voting process going forward? You touched on it there that some younger voters have now joined the voting electoral part of it. Is there any changes in the future for that?
I don't think so in the immediate future. I mean, we're forever looking at the rules and making sure they are relevant, and they're topic of mind for me 24/7 because they matter, and they matter to people, and they matter to who gets in. But right now, I think we're in a pretty good scenario. The era committees are set up nicely to make sure that those that may have fallen through the cracks get that opportunity, and we have a peer-to-peer contemporary review by an electorate of 500 voting on players today. So I think we feel very comfortable with the rules right now. Might there be changes in the future? Perhaps, but I don't see anything in the immediate future.
Now, all right, so if these guys who are under the umbrella of the steroid era get into the Hall, is there any contingency plan, anything you guys are looking at? Like I had suggested at one point, and I'm not even sure if I think I'm silly at this point, putting like the eras up and putting people under their eras.
Well, I mean, the museum in Cooperstown, first of all, we talk about the era that we're in now. I mean, there's an entire exhibit dedicated to the era of today's game, and it is an era of uncertainty. And I think as fans come through the museum, those that played from, really anybody that played in the last 25 years or 20 years is going to be thought of as coming out of an era of uncertainty. And I feel like the museum does address it, and if it warrants more addressing as we move forward, we will.
Jeff Idelson, president of the National Baseball Hall of Fame, with us right now on 104.5 The Team.
One of the weird questions, I think, going forward is that some of these guys who could be associated with PEDs could get in, while others may not get in, and this attitude is changing within voters. And I look at a spot like the Veterans Committee and think maybe they will start to change their stance with Bud Selig, the commissioner during that era, getting in. Do you see the Veterans Committee changing their ways of thinking in the future just like voters are?
Well, the era committees are put in place to look at guys that may have fallen through cracks, as we talked about on the playing side, managers, umpires, and executives. It's their only way to get in. I honestly believe that all of our voters do so with great objectivity. And with the voters that we put on the Today's Era Committee, they were contemporaries of the guys who were on the ballot, just like they are with the voters of the BBWAA voting on contemporary players. So we'll continue to make sure there's a relevance there and that the most relevant thinking is going on, more modern metrics continue to be used as the measuring tool along with everything else.
All right, now let me get to the compliments. Now we did all the stuff we had to do. I want to tell you that I don't think any other commissioner tells me that they're going to unveil their Hall of Fame class right at 6 o'clock, and by 6:05 I know who they are. Thank you for not overdoing it.
Well, brevity is king, and nobody wants to hear from me. They want to know who's in, so I get that. So let's just get off as quickly as we can and start celebrating who went in.
With all these years that you've been doing it, have you ever looked down at that announcement and thought, wow, I didn't think that number was going to happen, or wow, I didn't think he'd get in this year?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, I'm as much a fan as anybody else, and I try to pay attention and read the articles and predict, and, there's always surprises to me. Usually who gets in, I have a pretty good sense of just because I've been doing this for 24 years. But, yeah, there are some surprises, and I wondered this year with so many guys being so close if we might have ended up with a bigger class. But I'm happy with who we have. It's going to be a big weekend in the Cap region in Cooperstown come July. And really, if you look forward, the next 3, 4, 5 years of induction classes look to be very, very prosperous for our area.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you know me, a big Yankee homer. I see Mariano Rivera and Derek Jeter in the future. Last year, Piazza gets in. This year, the weekend will be July 28th to the 31st. What are you expecting in Cooperstown for Ivan Rodriguez, Jeff Bagwell, and Tim Rock Raines?
Well, when I look at 2 years ago and how well Craig Biggio drew, I never really thought we'd get that many fans from Houston. And I know there's tons of fans in Houston, don't get me wrong, but it's a long way. And when I was looking, I was looking out for the Sea of Red for Pedro Martinez and the Dominican bands and all that, and they were there. But the numbers that came out for Biggio really surprised me. So I think Houston will travel. Pudge is incredibly popular, not only in Texas and Puerto Rico, and but the fans turned out nicely for Roberto Alomar. So and then Tim Raines has played in a few places, and Montreal likes to come down. They came down for Dawson. So I think you're going to see a decent weekend. The weather, as always, will be the X factor, but it should be a pretty robust crowd.
I look forward to getting over to Cooperstown again. I love the Hall of Fame. It's my favorite museum. It's the one that I actually feel like some ownership over as a fan.
Well, we share that because I feel the same way. It's my favorite museum. But I'm glad you say that because, I mean, we curate it and try to develop it with a fan's eyes that we can all enjoy as fans. And, hopefully that's the sentiment for those who come to Cooperstown.
Jeff Idelson, president of the National Baseball Hall of Fame. We appreciate you. And I know one day we can just have a conversation where we don't talk about the steroid era, but sadly it wasn't today. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Listen, it's a part of the game, and it's a part of the game we love. And the great news is that we all have opinions about it. And, baseball's done a great job of cleaning it up. And you give them a lot of credit because they have the strongest program in all of professional sports in the majors right now. And will guys forever want to try to cheat? I mean, I think it's human nature in most any walk of life. But baseball, I think, has done yeoman's work in cleaning it up.
All right, our favorite president, Jeff Idelson, we appreciate your time and look forward to getting out and seeing you in the beautiful Cooperstown Hall of Fame.
Always a pleasure. Good to be with you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Okay. Hey, have a nice weekend.
You too.
Take care.
Thanks.